How's wedding planning? Is it fun?
So you asked.
Lauren Sanchez is done making plans because she's officially
Very
a
image
married
of the richest man on earth. The words were simple. I will show you with my body, my lips, and my eyes. Very soon, they were intimate, passionate, private, never intended to be read by anyone, except the woman they were written for, Lauren Sanchez. But fate has a way of turning private desires into public scandals. And this one would explode into the most expensive divorce in human history, costing $38 billion, reshaping the lives of 3 families, and reminding the world that even the most powerful human being on the planet is still fragile when it comes to love and betrayal. But to truly understand how one text message could set fire to an empire, we must go back to the beginning. Back to 1993, when Jeff Bezos was not a global icon, but a young, ambitious Wall Street analyst working at the hedge fund D.E. Shaw in New York. He was brilliant, meticulous, endlessly curious about patterns of money and technology. But what he did not expect was to fall in love with someone who would help him change the course of history. Her name was MacKenzie Tuttle. A young woman with intelligence that matched his drive. She had studied at Princeton, dreamed of being a novelist, and her presence was magnetic. She was sharp, but warm, grounded, but full of dreams. Their meeting was serendipitous almost. Like the script of a romantic comedy, she worked as an assistant to one of the executives, and he noticed her laugh, her intelligence, the way she carried herself. He later confessed, I didn't date much until my senior year of college, but when I met MacKenzie, everything changed immediately. 3 months later, they were engaged within a year. They were married, and from the very beginning, this was not simply a love story. It was a partnership, a fusion of ambition and creativity that would eventually birth the empire of Amazon in 1994. Bezos read an article that the internet was growing at a rate of more than 2,000% annually. He instantly recognized an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime moment, the kind of wave that only a visionary could ride. But he also
I'm going to be 55.
Go, girl.
That, I'd be an author, that I'd be getting married. I mean, life is just beginning. When I was 20, I thought, oh my gosh, life is over at 50. Let me tell you, it is not, ladies. It is not over. It is just beginning.
You are preaching to the choir
Yes,
right
are.
here. We love
So
you.
many
That's
things.
amazing.
It just gets better and better. And I always say, when women are like, oh, what is it like turning 50? I was like, it's just the beginning.
the beginning.
I love that.
Just the
Awesome.
beginning.
Lauren, thank you.
Thank you so much.
was not just the dream, but the dreamer. And she knew her place was beside him through risk and uncertainty. What millions of Amazon customers would never know is that MacKenzie Bezos, as she was known then, was not simply the billionaire's wife. She was the co-architect of the company's beginnings, while Jeff envisioned algorithms and logistics. MacKenzie wrote the original business plan, she joined investor meetings, and with her conviction, persuaded them to hand over $245,573 a seed that would grow into $1 trillion tree. She worked 18-hour days in the garage at Bellevue, Washington, answering customer emails, packing books, negotiating with suppliers when they could not afford office furniture. She built tables from doors and wooden beams. She sacrificed her own writing career for the dream they shared. We slept 4 hours a night, ate pizza every day, and dreamed Amazon would someday be bigger than Barnes & Noble. She later recalled what began as a fragile dream grew into an unstoppable storm. By 1997, Amazon went public, valued at $438 million. It was still tiny compared to its future, but it was proof that the impossible had become possible. MacKenzie and Jeff had turned a garage experiment into a global marketplace, and as years passed, their company became the beating heart of the internet. By 2018, Amazon's valuation soared past $1 trillion, and Jeff Bezos was officially the richest man in the world, worth over $150 billion. Their life seemed like the perfect American dream love partnership, children, success, wealth. The image was flawless, yet beneath that glittering surface was a quiet vulnerability in their marriage, a vulnerability rooted in time-distance ambition and the choices they made long ago. The truth is that success has a price. Jeff's ambition demanded 18-hour workdays, endless flights, board meetings, futuristic projects from Alexa to Blue Origin rockets, while MacKenzie found herself alone more often than not, raising their 4 children, balancing family obligations, and chasing her own dream of being a novelist. She published 2 books, her words delicate and sharp, but they were swallowed in the shadow of Amazon. No matter what she created, it was always Jeff's story that defined her friends. later recalled how she admitted to feeling isolated. Jeff lives in the future, and I live in the present. She confided to close friends a phrase that would later sound prophetic, because the distance between them kept widening brick by brick until there was enough space for someone new to enter in 2016 at a glittering Hollywood. Party filled with stars and moguls, Jeff Bezos met Lauren Sánchez, a glamorous television host and helicopter pilot known for her beauty, charisma, and magnetic energy. She was already married to Patrick Whitesell, one of Hollywood's most powerful talent agents representing stars like Matt Damon, Christian Bale, and Hugh Jackman. She had 3 children and on paper a perfect life. Yet when she crossed paths with Bezos, a spark ignited that would eventually burn through billions. At first, their interactions were innocent professional. She was hired to pilot helicopters for wealthy clients, and sometimes for Bezos himself, who until then disliked flying, but soon business meetings turned into private conversations, then secret encounters. Then a hidden romance. Bezos, who had been reserved in his public image, suddenly began to transform. His employees noticed. He started hitting the gym more often, changing his hairstyle, dressing differently with a new energy. A man of 58 acting like a teenager in love. His private world, once so carefully guarded, now revolved around secret trips, secret texts, secret passion for almost a year. Bezos and Lauren met discreetly at his Texas and Washington estates and luxury hotels. He even purchased a $65 million private jet to make their hidden escapes easier. But the greatest mistake of his life was not the affair itself. It was the intimacy he put into writing through text messages, private words of desire, vulnerability, promises of love, the kind of words that could be weaponized in the wrong hands. And as fate would have it, those hands belonged to someone Lauren trusted completely, her own brother, Michael Sanchez, who was drowning in financial troubles and desperate for opportunity. Michael was connected to the entertainment world, dabbling in PR with ties to tabloids and always searching for a shortcut to fortune. When he stumbled upon Jeff's messages on his sister's phone, he realized he was sitting on dynamite. The richest man in the world, a married father of 4 caught in a secret affair with his sister. Michael began collecting the messages, secretly photographing her screen, transferring data, building a folder of private texts that revealed the most powerful man on earth as nothing more than a man in love, vulnerable, foolish human. Lauren confided details of her romance to him, unaware that her brother was recording her every word, preparing to sell the story of her life to the highest bidder. And among those texts, one line would become immortalized on front pages worldwide: "I will show you with my body, my lips, and my eyes very soon." The music rose, and the soft golden lights flickered against the ancient walls of Venice as Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez stepped deeper into the dream they had orchestrated. Every eye in the palazzo turned toward them, not because they were the richest couple in the room, but because there was a force to the way they moved together, a rhythm that spoke louder than wealth, louder than power. The dress she wore shimmered like water itself, a gown that had been whispered about for weeks. Designers had rushed sketches under the radar. Some even claimed secret fittings had been done at midnight, away from photographers to ensure no leaks happened. Before this very moment, the gown carried a mix of old-world Italian lace and a futuristic silhouette, almost a metaphor for Bezos himself, a man rooted in ambition yet always reaching into tomorrow. Her veil was light but long, trailing behind her, like the wake of a yacht crossing the Grand Canal. And as it brushed the marble floor, the guests leaned forward, phones tucked away, because this was a no-phone wedding. Every detail was to be remembered only through memory and the professional lens of carefully selected photographers. No scandalous snapshots, no grainy paparazzi leaks. This was control, and it was absolute, and yet beneath the control there was chaos waiting for release, because Lauren Sánchez was no ordinary bride. She had been a television host, a pilot, a mother, and now the woman who had redefined what it meant to love and to fight for that love. In public, the eyes watching her were not just family, friends, and celebrities, but critics, analysts, rivals, wondering how this union would ripple through circles of power. Some saw romance, others saw strategy, and that duality pulsed in every whispered conversation around the candlelit tables. Leonardo DiCaprio had arrived quietly, his presence alone enough to spark another wave of gossip ever since the yacht encounter when Lauren leaned close to him while Jeff looked on the moment had gone viral, memes spreading like wildfire across the internet. Now, to see Leo here at the wedding, smiling casually as if none of it mattered, was almost too much for the watching crowd. The question hung unspoken. Did this show strength? Or insecurity, did inviting him mean old wounds were healed? Or that the Bezos-Sánchez empire was untouchable? Regardless of headlines, it was theater and everyone was playing their part. The chefs unveiled the first course, Italian delicacies crafted with impossible precision. Truffle risotto served in small crystal bowls, caviar balanced on edible gold leaves, wine poured from bottles valued higher than some homes outside the venue. Tourists floated by on gondolas catching faint echoes of laughter, and music wondering what world was unfolding inside that was so far removed from their own. The speeches began not the stiff corporate ones Bezos was known for, but heartfelt words. Lauren's children spoke first, voices trembling but steady, telling stories of a mother who dared to fly helicopters across oceans, who laughed too loudly at jokes, who never let them forget that love was not weakness, but strength. Jeff listened, eyes glistening as if the armor of the richest man alive had cracked, open for a second to let humanity in. Then Bezos himself stood, a man who had once been mocked for his laugh, who had once been painted as ruthless and robotic, now choosing words softer than expected. He spoke not of Amazon, not of rockets, not of billions, but of choosing adventure over comfort, of choosing love that cost him everything, but gave him more than the world could buy. The room erupted into applause, but beneath it some guests shifted uneasily, because the fairy tale was stunning. Yes, but behind fairy tales, there were always shadows. Whispers of MacKenzie Scott, the ex-wife who had once built Amazon at his side, now giving away billions to reshape philanthropy. In her own name, her absence was heavy, a reminder that this perfect night was also born from fracture. The orchestra swelled and dancers filled the floor, modern yet classical weaving movements between tables, pulling guests to join until even the most reserved billionaires were swaying under chandeliers. The cameras carefully framed every shot. But what the cameras did not catch were the glances between power brokers, the deals hinted at over champagne. The way old rivals nodded in truce under the mask of celebration, because weddings in this world were never just about love. They were stages for empire building, every moment crafted to signal strength, alliances, and future moves outside the palazzo. Fireworks burst across the Venetian sky, their reflection rippling in the canals as gondoliers paused to watch. Lauren looked up, her hand gripping Jeff's as if to remind herself that yes, this was real. This was happening. She had crossed worlds, from local news to Hollywood to aviation, and now to the center of global fascination, and she was not letting go. The night pushed forward. Dresses were swapped, jewelry sparkled in new combinations. Guests whispered about which pieces came from Bezos himself, and which were borrowed from legendary collections guarded in vaults. Rumors swirled that one emerald necklace worn by a guest was valued at $60 million alone. The symbolism was thick jewels, power, beauty, all shimmering in one room, and yet at the heart of it, two people dancing as though no one else existed. The music softened again, and whispers filled the silence. People asked if this would last, if love forged in such fire could survive the pressure of constant eyes. If Bezos, with his obsession for the stars, and Sanchez, with her hunger for spotlight, could truly walk together forever. And though no one spoke the answer aloud, it was clear that the uncertainty was part of the allure. It was not a fairy tale because fairy tales end. This was a saga unfolding in real time, and everyone wanted front row seats. The news cycle did not move slowly. It attacked like a tidal wave. First whispers, then full front page spreads. Tabloids around the world carried headlines about Jeff Bezos, the richest man on earth, caught in a scandal that felt more like a soap opera than the private life of a tech visionary. And in the center of it all stood Lauren Sánchez, smiling in photos, flying her helicopter in glossy shots. And yet behind the glamour, she was painted as the femme fatale, the woman who had undone a 25-year marriage, and in a way the tabloids had found their perfect story. The billionaire, the wife, the mistress, the leaked text messages. It was a narrative too juicy to resist. The National Enquirer claimed to have obtained intimate details. Photos, texts, promises of secret rendezvous in hotels, and even selfies that no one expected would ever surface, and suddenly questions exploded. How had such private material been exposed? Who leaked the messages? Who stood to gain, and why? At the center of suspicion was Michael Sanchez, Lauren's brother, a man with deep media connections and a reputation for controversy. But Michael denied and shifted his story too many times. One moment insisting he had protected his sister, the next admitting he may have shared material to protect family honor later, even contradicting himself in interviews and courtrooms. His involvement cast a shadow on Lauren's loyalty. and made Jeff wonder if love had blinded him to risk for decades. Jeff Bezos had been the architect of privacy. Amazon was built on security customer trust data, protected by firewalls and encrypted systems. But here in his personal life, his walls had collapsed through the weakest point: a brother, a family member with access. To secrets, this irony was not lost on the public nor the press. Soon the humiliation spread further when Bezos took the unprecedented step of publishing a blog post accusing American Media Inc., the parent company, of the Inquirer of attempted blackmail and extortion. He revealed emails threatening to release intimate photos unless he issued a statement downplaying their reporting, and immediately the scandal took on a new life. What began as infidelity was now framed as a battle over power, privacy, and the corrupt practices of tabloid empires. Jeff Bezos standing not only as a billionaire caught in love, but as a whistleblower fighting for truth. The internet erupted. Some praised him for refusing to be bullied. Others mocked him for letting personal failings spiral into global drama. Meanwhile, MacKenzie Scott, silent but poised, prepared her own response. And it was not loud, not scandalous, but precise. In April of 2019, she finalized her divorce settlement, receiving $38 billion in Amazon stock, instantly becoming one of the richest women in the world. Her calm dignity during the storm won her respect in a way that contrasted sharply with the chaos around Jeff and Lauren. While Bezos fought headlines and Lauren's name became tabloid shorthand for betrayal, MacKenzie chose silence and later philanthropy, redirecting billions towards schools, nonprofits, and communities, changing her image from scorned wife to one of the most generous women in history. Her actions only magnified the public divide. People asked who truly came out stronger from this chaos: the billionaire fighting his own scandal, or the ex-wife quietly shaping a new legacy for herself. Lauren, however, remained at Jeff's side despite the noise. And as the affair transformed into an official relationship, they faced their new reality together. Photographed at events, on yachts, at Hollywood gatherings, she leaned into the role of partner, and in doing so drew even more scrutiny. Critics accused her of chasing wealth. Defenders argued she truly loved Jeff. Their chemistry undeniable in every public moment. But beneath the smiles and staged appearances, the war over perception continued for Jeff. The fallout was more than emotional. It was. Strategic investors worried Amazon's reputation would falter. Shareholders feared distraction. Rivals circled like sharks. Even the US government eyed him differently. The richest man alive now publicly vulnerable. His weakness exposed in print. And photos. Lauren too endured whispers about her past. Her previous
all live in a world of abundance, and it's a $10 billion commitment, and it's really supporting these incredible team to innovate. And we have a $400 million greening of American cities. This is something completely different, something that I love, and we're greening inner cities. So we're putting parks where kids normally don't have a park, where it's a concrete jungle, and so that everyone can be close to nature, and so they can look out and go, you know what, I want to help save this planet because look how beautiful it is.
I'll tell you what, thank you for this book. I mean, I think this book can help a lot of kids out there.
I'm very excited for it.
Who aren't seen, who will feel seen because of it.
Yes, and stay curious. Want everyone to just stay curious.
Thank you. Lauren,
thanks so
always
much.
Great to see you.
Appreciate
you. And The Fly, Who Flew to Space,
Jeff
is available
Bezos and Lauren
now.
Sanchez faced a choice: hide from the camera's retreat into private spaces until the noise died down, or confront the storm head-on and redefine themselves as something new. They chose the latter. Instead of running, Jeff appeared with Lauren at events. Their relationship no longer whispered about in gossip columns, but photographed under the bright lights of red carpets, yacht decks, and gala dinners. What had started as a tabloid drama now transformed into a performance of power. In public, Jeff and Lauren understood that image could be weaponized, that perception could be rewritten, and so they leaned into it. They crafted a narrative not of shame, but of resilience. Two people who survived humiliation and stood together stronger than before. Their chemistry was undeniable. Her laughter caught on camera, his smile softer when she stood beside him. This was not the robotic CEO image that had defined Jeff for decades. This was a man in love. And for Lauren, the scandal became a platform. She was no longer just a helicopter pilot or television host. She was the partner of the richest man on earth. And with that came attention, influence, and opportunities. Her fashion choices became headlines. Her jewelry analyzed, her every gesture dissected by paparazzi and critics alike. But behind the glamour, the couple pursued something deeper. Lauren encouraged Jeff to show more of his humanity. She pushed him to embrace the arts, to mingle with Hollywood elites, to step into circles far from the spreadsheets and algorithms of Amazon. And Jeff allowed it, perhaps because after losing MacKenzie in such a public way, he wanted to prove he could rebuild. Perhaps because he craved reinvention, or maybe simply because he was truly captivated by Lauren's energy. Whatever the reason, their union grew visible, unavoidable, and slowly it shifted the narrative away from betrayal toward reinvention. But reinvention is never free. The public remained divided. Half saw Jeff as a fool, led by desire, risking reputation for romance. The other half saw a man finally living life outside of boardrooms and shareholder calls. Lauren herself endured cruel labels: gold digger, homewrecker, opportunist. Yet time revealed another truth. She was more than tabloid caricature. She had ambition. She had strategy. She knew how to navigate media storms because she had lived inside them as a host, as a producer, as a woman who understood how celebrity culture devoured and spat out its subjects instead of resisting the noise. She turned it into fuel, appearing in photo shoots, giving carefully measured interviews, presenting herself not as Scandal's villain, but as Jeff's anchor, the woman who brought joy into the life of a man who had spent decades consumed by work. Slowly, the narrative began to turn. Then came the philanthropic stage. Both Jeff and Lauren began attaching themselves to causes: climate change, education, equality. Jeff pledged billions through the Bezos Earth Fund. Lauren spoke passionately about empowering women and young girls. Their presence at charity galas and foundations reframed them from scandalous lovers to benefactors of change. And while cynics accused them of reputation laundering, the impact was undeniable. Headlines softened, their appearances carried less venom, and their place as a couple seemed not only secure but accepted. Still in the background, the ghost of the scandal lingered: Michael Sanchez. Lawsuits, depositions, accusations about leaks, the National Enquirer saga that refused to fully die. It was a reminder that their love story had been born in fire and would always carry the scent of smoke. As the years passed, Jeff's life shifted. Further from Amazon, he stepped down as CEO in 2021, a move many linked to his desire to explore beyond business into space, through Blue Origin and into legacy, through the Washington Post and into love with Lauren. The billionaire who once seemed untouchable now appeared almost theatrical, flying into space with his brother, waving cowboy hats, smiling alongside Lauren, watching from the sidelines, cheering as if she were both partner and producer of his second act the world had witnessed. Jeff Bezos, 1-0. The work-obsessed CEO, and now Jeff Bezos, 2-0. The lover, the adventurer, the dreamer, and always. Lauren was at his side, shaping his image, adding color to the grayscale of his past. By the time rumors of engagement began circulating, the scandal felt distant, though never forgotten. Whispers of a massive diamond ring appeared in tabloids. Paparazzi shots captured Lauren flashing her hand, speculation filled. Social media was the world's richest man preparing for another wedding. Could the couple who had once been mocked survive long enough to rewrite themselves as icons of love instead of subjects of ridicule? And then it was confirmed: Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez were indeed engaged, and their choice of wedding destination would silence any doubts. Venice, the city of love, art, and eternal romance, a place where power and beauty converge in gondolas and palazzos. When the news broke, it became clear this was not just a wedding, it was a statement. The scandal couple turned power couple, now turning into something greater. A union celebrated, not hidden, the richest man in the world. Marrying not in secrecy, but in the most cinematic location imaginable. Their Venetian wedding became the talk of the world, an event where glamour collided with legacy, celebrity collided with royalty, a celebration that blurred the line between love story and global spectacle. Every detail planned to perfection: the gowns, the guest list, the arrival of yachts under the golden sunset. Jeff and Lauren standing as if to declare to the world, yes, we survived. Yes, we love. Yes, we are here. And nothing can take this from us. And yet, beneath the glamour, the question remained. Had Jeff Bezos truly found lasting love? Or had he simply rewritten his story into one the world could consume? The scandal would always be part of their history, but so too would the reinvention. And perhaps that was the real genius of Jeff and Lauren. They did not erase the past. They transformed it into a prologue, for a wedding that felt like a finale and a beginning. All at once. The billionaire and the pilot, the scandal and the spectacle. Venice was not just a city, it was a stage. and together they had claimed it. That began with a secret text and exploded into one of the most talked about scandals of modern times. Jeff Bezos, who built an empire from a garage, discovered that no amount of wealth could shield him from the chaos of human desire, ambition, and betrayal. What should have been private became public. What should have remained whispers became headlines. And yet from that storm came reinvention. Because instead of retreating, Jeff faced the fire. He acknowledged the truth. He rebuilt himself, and in doing so, he showed the world that power is not the absence of failure, but the ability to rise after it. Lauren Sánchez, who had been labeled and doubted, stepped into her own power. She was no longer just a pilot, no longer just a media figure. She became the partner of one of the most powerful men alive, and she did so, not by hiding, but by embracing the spotlight, by transforming every attack into fuel and every rumor into resilience. Their love became a lightning rod for critics, but also a symbol for those who believed in second chances and reinvention, standing on super yachts, walking red carpets, arriving at the Venice wedding that seemed more like a royal coronation. They were no longer the scandalized couple, but the spectacle itself, and as the world debated their choices, the deeper truth emerged. This was not just about two people, it was about three, because MacKenzie Scott, the quiet storm who walked away with $38 billion, used her fortune not to build yachts or chase spotlights, but to reshape the world through giving her philanthropy redefined wealth. Her silence became louder than any headline, and her legacy may one day eclipse them all. Jeff, Lauren, MacKenzie. Three names bound together by love, betrayal, fortune, and fate. Their stories moving in different directions, but forever connected. The endeavor is not simply about Amazon or rockets or scandals. It is about the human condition, about what happens when love collides with power, when ambition collides with morality, and when secrets collide with the public eye. Now, as Bezos pushes into space, as Lauren takes her place at his side, as MacKenzie continues her mission of giving, the story is unfinished because the endeavor never truly ends. It only changes form. And so the final lesson is this: no matter how much money, no matter how much influence, no matter how many headlines, the richest man on earth is still just a man searching for connection. The woman beside him is still just a woman determined to be seen on her own terms, and the one who left with her fortune intact is still just a figure, proving that sometimes the greatest power is in walking away and choosing your own path. The endeavor began in a garage. It survived scandal, betrayal, divorce, and reinvention, and it continues today not as a simple love story, but as a saga that reminds us all that even in the rarefied air of billionaires, the human heart remains the most unpredictable frontier.
This video covers legal allegations in a news context. All claims are from official filings and no guilt is implied until proven in court. Please keep all discussions respectful. Allegations are not facts until proven in court.